welcome everyone. My name is Andrea. I'm Teen Services Coordinator here at Mesa County Libraries. And today I'm going to be doing a demo video of how to make a paracord bracelet. The reason I'm doing this today is because starting June 19th through July 2nd, we are going to be distributing paracord bracelet kits. So in your kit, you're going to have, let me pull them out here, a buckle, approximately 10 feet of paracord, and some instructions of how to make your paracord bracelet. I'm going to be going over those instructions today, so you can follow along with this video as you read your instructions, whatever you feel comfortable with. I personally like to have both written and verbal instructions myself, so I'm going to be referencing my written instructions here because I have to admit I haven't made a paracord bracelet enough to just know how to do it off the top of my head. So your first question might be, what is a paracord bracelet? Well, a paracord bracelet is designed so when you're in an outdoor survival situation that you have several feet of cord available for you to use in an emergency situation, because rope just comes in real handy in a lot of situations that you might find yourself in. This one is nice because it's also that hunter safety orange, so makes it pretty visible. But the idea is that this is woven in such a way that when you need those several feet of cord, you can unravel this whole bracelet. This one isn't quite done yet. We're going to come back to it later, just part of the movie magic. But, they are just incredibly useful and they look kind of cool when you're wearing them too. So I think they're really helpful, especially if you're a person who likes to spend time in the outdoors and just know that you got another tool in your pocket, or in this case, on your wrist. All right, so the first thing that you're going to want to do besides getting your kit is you're going to want to reference the instructions or reference this video to see what all you're going to need at home so that you can do this successfully. The first thing you're going to need is a ruler. You're going to need a pair of scissors. And you're going to need some tape here. The tape is not essential, but it's helpful. And then you're going to need some way to seal the ends of your cord, because after you cut your cord, it becomes raw, it starts to unravel, and so you need some way to seal it. The two ways that I have seen recommended are either having some type of glue, preferably something like this tacky glue or fabric glue. Elmer's glue probably isn't going to cut it, it's not going to seal it for long enough. The gold standard is to use a lighter to melt the cords. We're going to get into that some more later, but of course I just want to give a disclaimer about fire safety. Anytime you're using fire, please just be careful of using it in an environment where you're not near flammable objects. So I'm going to tie back my hair when I get to that step because this is definitely flammable. And then the other thing is please just check in with any adults in your life before, grabbing the household lighters. Just to make sure that they know that you're doing that and that in case something does go wrong and you burn yourself, you have somebody available to help you. But please try not to burn yourself. We don't want anyone making trips to the doctor right now for burns, because that's just not a pleasant way to spend your day. All right, so step one, I'm going to unravel my paracord here. All right, and the first thing that we want to do before we get to any of the fun stitching part is we are going to measure our cord. And then one other thing I wanted to mention before I went further along in the instructions, there is a link to the source of these instructions. These come from REI, How to Weave a Paracord Bracelet using the Cobra stitch. I did not come up with these on my own. I'm just using those instructions because I found them really helpful. So you can definitely reference those online as well, but I just want to give credit where credit is due. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have to figure out how long our paracord bracelet is. Everyone has been given approximately 10 feet of paracord, and that seems like a lot, but you actually use a lot of paracord when you're weaving this. That's kind of the point. But very few people are going to actually use all 10 feet. So what you're going to do first is you're going to measure your wrist. The easiest way I have found to do that is to actually use the paracord itself and then try and figure out where the ends meet up. That can be kind of tricky. Okay, it's approximately there-ish. All right, so I've got my measurement here, and this is where my ruler first comes into play. I'm going to measure it and see how long it is. All right, so according to mine here, Mine is about 6.5 inches. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write that number down. So 6.5. All right, so I've measured my wrist. Now we're going to find out how many inches I need for my paracord bracelet. So you have that you're 10 feet, but you're probably not going to need that much, because what they say on paracord bracelet calculations is for approximately every inch of paracord bracelet, you're going to want 1 foot of cord. So I know that my wrist was 6.5 inches. So I am going to multiply that by 12 to get the number of inches total that I need for my paracord bracelet. So 6.5 times 12 equals 78 inches. So I'm going to write that down. All right, so I've written down my 78 inches. And then the next thing I'm going to encourage you to do is to add 6 inches to whatever your final calculation was. The reason you do that is because your paracord bracelet is never going to stay perfectly the same ever. It's going to flex over time. It's going to loosen up slightly. You need a little extra wiggle room. And then the other thing is too, you can always cut it shorter when you're getting to the end and you're sealing up the ends. You can't ever make it longer again. So my 78, I'm going to add 6. I get 84 inches. So I'm going to write that number down again. And that is how long I'm going to cut my paracord. All right. So here we go. 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, C, and 84. All right, perfect. Okay, cutting the ends there. All right, so first thing right off the bat, we're gonna notice we have this raw end here. If I look away for 2 seconds, it's gonna have unraveled a bunch. It just does that when you're not looking. So the first thing I'm gonna do before I go any further is I'm gonna seal up the end. So I've elected to do the lighter method just because I know that this is the most secure, the most long lasting. Again, glue does work. It's just you're probably gonna have to re-glue it at some point. And so I wanted to demonstrate how I'm gonna do the lighter technique safely. So I have a pair of grill here that I'm gonna actually hold the end of my cord in. And I've got my lighter. I would actually recommend if you have a grill lighter at home, one of the ones where it has that really long nozzle on it, that's even better because then your fingers aren't close to it. This is just the lighter that I had, so I'm gonna light that, and it's just gonna take me a few moments here. But you're gonna notice it's shoveling in on itself, kind of got that glossy finish on the end, and we're done. All right, so now that my ends are secured, moving on, I'm gonna grab my bracelet ends here. Gonna move my excess cord out of the way here and my ruler since I'm done with that for the time being. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna separate my buckle into its 2 pieces. And then I'm gonna find the midpoint on my cord here. So the way that I do that is I bring the 2 ends of the cord together so they're even. Then I run my hand along here, make sure it's nice and straight. And this is the midpoint here at the end of this loop. Okay, now that I've got the midpoint, I'm gonna take my bracelet buckle piece, this is the male end, and I am gonna push the paracord through it. So this is actually a kind of the trickier part of it because the paracord is quite stiff, it doesn't wanna go through. So I'm gonna use my pen to help encourage it through. All right, let's see. Aha, that did the trick. All right, so once it's through, it's fine. It's just the getting it through the part. All right, so now I have this loop here. I want to check and see if my ends are still pretty even. Looks like they are. So then the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to bring the rest of my cord through that loop, and we're going to secure the buckle there. All right, so now that we have it nice and secure and nice and firm, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to put our loose ends here through the other piece of the buckle. So one thing I'm going to try and do before I get going is I want to make sure that my buckle is going to fit together later, because I don't know if you'll have noticed on this buckle piece is rather curved. So if we put this on wrong, this is the right way, it fits together really nicely. If you put it on upside down, it does still technically go together, but it's like not, it doesn't really fit right. It's going to be tricky to get on and off. See how I'm struggling trying to get this bracelet off again. So you might want to check on that while you're doing it. Okay, so if it's this way here, I want the buckle to line up like that. Okay. Gonna loop those loose ends through here. And we are not going to secure them, we're just gonna put them through. All right. Again, a little challenging getting it through, but once you get it through, you're golden. All right, so I am going to adjust this here in a minute, but in the meantime, I'm gonna do what I was talking about and try and see if I put this on correctly the first time. Because when the cord gets that long, it's easy to get mixed up. Yep, this is not twisted, this is going on correctly, so we're good to move on to our next step. I just don't want anyone to get to the end and be like, oh no, my bracelet won't buckle. All right, so the next bit is now we get to determine the length of the bracelet again. So we're going back to our ruler here. And earlier I had written down that my wrist was 6.5 inches. So you'd think, oh, okay, well that's how long we're gonna make it. Well, the tricky part is you need to account for the bracelet buckle. And again, we're gonna wanna give it a little extra slack because as we tighten it, it's not gonna stay exactly the same length. So what I am going to recommend here is you are going to measure from this portion of the buckle down. So we're ignoring the prongs here. Ignoring the prongs, we're measuring from this, and then we're gonna try and lay that flat and measure to the end of this buckle piece. So I'll show you what I mean. So I've got my ruler here. I'll try and do this upside down. We'll see how this goes. Upside down relative to me. Okay, so I've got this lined up on the 0, excluding the prongs, so just this lower half of the bracelet buckle. We're gonna try and lay that flat and see how long it is. So right now, this is 9 inches. And what I was saying is we had our 6.5 for our wrist. We're gonna add an inch and we're gonna say 7.5 for this, including the buckle. All right, so if I have the buckle about there, I try and lay that down flat. Yep, that shows that's right at, this end piece is right at that 7.5. So that's how long we're gonna make it. All right. So, and then we are gonna flip this around. And this is where our tape comes in. You don't have to tape this down, but it's gonna be a heck of a lot easier if you do. We're gonna tape down our respective buckle pieces here. So, again, I'm gonna try and do this upside down. We'll see how this goes. Okay, so when you're sitting doing this yourself, you're gonna be having it, so yeah, the male end is pointing towards your body, this end is up here. This is your working end. These are gonna be your working ends of cord. We're gonna bring those around to the side here, and then we're gonna tape this down. But first, one thing that might happen is you're gonna wanna recheck your measurements because things have probably shifted since you've been taping stuff down. So let's see how we're doing here. All right, so it looks like we're still at 7.5. So I'm gonna try and tape this down to the best of my ability. No. You're gonna find that happens a lot. It's gonna buck off. It just wants to do that. Okay. And again, the tape is not essential. I just find it way easier myself when I've got it taped down, less things shifting around and twisting on me. All right, we'll see how long that holds. Probably gonna have to add more again later. All right, so this is when we get to do the fun part. We've done all the prep work. Now we actually get to start weaving our bracelet. So the stitch we're gonna be demonstrating today is called a Cobra stitch. There's a ton of different stitches you can do for paracord bracelets. And so the first thing we're gonna wanna do is we're gonna determine, okay, and again, I'm doing this in reference to you guys. So this is your left chord, this is your right chord. It's not my right and left, but for you it is. So left and right. So the first thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna take our left chord, we're gonna go under our center chords. All right, so we've gone under. Then we are going to place it so it is on top of our right chord. This is very important. So left chord under, over the top of the right chord. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our right chord here, we're gonna go over the top of the center chords, not under, over. And then we are going to go through that loop we just created with our left chord. So this is what it looks like when you've got it really expanded. So left chord under, over the top of the right chord over the top of the center, under the left chord. And then we are gonna pull it up, snug against the base of the buckle. All right, we just did our first stitch. Congratulations. All right, so then this is where the instructions can get a little bit trickier, is you could try to do the same stitch exactly the same, but it's not gonna work. You're gonna alternate sides every time you do this stitch. So we're gonna do the same stitch again, but this time instead of starting with the left chord, we're gonna start with the right chord. So we're gonna take our right chord, again, going under our center chords, on top of our left chord. We're gonna take our left chord here, go over the top of the center, and through the loop. Pull it up. Okay, 2 stitches down. So that's what you do, is you just keep alternating again and again. So I'll do that again one more time. So since we just did our right chord, starting out as our first chord, this time we're starting with the left chord. So left, under, on top of our right, right, over, through our loop. Okay. So something you might encounter as you're going along is you lose track of where you are. I had this happen several times when I was making this. It's like, oh shoot, did I just start with the left chord or the right chord? So one thing that I will do sometimes when I'm in that position is I'll actually undo the last knot that I just did so that I can figure out where I am in the process. So what I'll do is I'm just simply going to take these 2 chords, I'm just going to push on them because it's not really locked in yet. So if you push on these chords, we're going to pull these out and we're going to see, okay, let's see, this was the left chord and it went under the center chord. So that means I can tighten this back up and I know I'm going to start with the right chord again. So we'll do that again, just another demonstration stitch. Stay, buckle, over and through for our left, and pull it on up. All right, and then you just keep doing that. So I've decided, in the spirit of all the best cooking shows, to have a demo one that is mostly done over here, that we're just gonna use the power of movie magic to talk about how you're gonna finish off your bracelet. So if you wanna keep weaving for a while and start this video again, go ahead and do that. But if you're ready to finish, this is the time. So as you can see, we're not completely done here on this. We've still got a little bit of gap in between here in the buckle. We don't want that just because it doesn't look very nice. I mean, you can do whatever you want. It's your bracelet. You follow your heart. But I want to get mine all the way to the buckle myself. Okay, so case in point, I don't know what my last one was. So let me see here. Okay, it looks like on mine, it was my left one that was the one that went underneath. So now I know that I need to do my right one here. So right one under and over and through. And you notice how this is a lot more wiggly when I don't have it taped down. Okay, that was the right one. It's hard thinking upside down. All right, left one under and over. Right one over and through. Okay. Let's see, can I squeeze one more in there? Yeah, I think I can. Okay. Let's see, what am I doing again? So yeah, you probably all have better memories than me, but I'm an aged person and my brain does not retain these things anymore. All right, left one under, right one under and over. As you can see, it gets a little bit more challenging to do on top of as you go along. All right, I'm gonna say for my purposes, that is good enough. So, all right, so I've woven as much as I can. So this gets to be the scary part. This is where I'm going to trim and secure my ends. One thing that you might want to keep in mind is if you are trying out your bracelet, just to make sure that your sizing fits, which I recommend at this point because it will be much easier to adjust your fit before you secure this. Can I buckle it? You'll probably be better at this than I am, but I feel like I'm trying to wrestle a snake, which is appropriate because this is the Cobra stitch. It can be a little tricky getting the bracelet on by yourself, but it's doable. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that fit. It's not super tight, but I don't want it to be, you know. I like circulation to my fingers. So the next thing I'm gonna do here is, again, going back to that safety, get the flammable objects out of the way. And for me, that includes my hair. So I'm gonna tie this back in a messy ponytail so I don't set my hair on fire, because that's gonna be an entertaining video, I'm sure, but I will not be happy. So, all right, so the first thing you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna trim down your cords so that they're pretty close to each other. And when you are sealing your cords, I recommend not sealing them so that they are on the inside of the bracelet, because then you're just gonna feel those rough ends rubbing against your wrist. So I'm gonna try and do mine on top of mine. So I'm gonna trim down these cords here. All right, so again, you could use glue if you're gonna do the glue method. That works just fine. It's probably not as secure in the long run, but it works, at least for a little while. But if you're gonna do the lighter method, again, I highly recommend pliers to hold your ends, because these are so short. If I had my fingers on here, my fingers are gonna be right next to the flame. That is not gonna be a good time for them. I want this cord to melt, not my hands. So I'm gonna use my pliers there, kind of hold those together, because ultimately what we're trying to do is we're not just sealing the ends on these particular cords, we're actually trying to melt these cords together to get a really secure thing, because if we don't melt them together, they're just gonna unravel. So same deal, if you're using glue, glue them together. Otherwise, it's just gonna unravel. Gonna get my lighter. Again, if you have a grill lighter, that is the ideal for this. This is just what I have. And we're gonna melt that. Notice how my left hand is way out of the way, so it's not getting burnt. All right. So as you can tell, this one takes a little longer because you are melting two together. All right, let's see how that came out. All right, so again, we've got those glossy ends. That means it's melted properly. And we're gonna give that a minute to cool, and then we're gonna tug on them to see how they did. So, but yeah, okay, that seems fairly secure for my purposes. Yeah, it's not easily coming undone. Just, you know, might want to tug on it a little bit to see if that's gonna stay. And there you go, you've secured it. So when you are in a survival situation, what you could do is if you have a knife, or if your fingers are strong enough, you can yank it apart, rip it apart, and then you can just undo that lovely Cobra stitch you just did, so that you can use those several feet of cord. In my case, that was, oh gosh, that was like 8 feet of cord, 7 feet of cord, yeah. So, which is quite a lot, really. And now I can buckle that on, and I am good to go. All right, and there you have it. Your Paracord bracelet complete. All right, well, thank you so much for watching with me today. Just to remind you again, we are distributing these Paracord supplies June 19th through July 2nd, or while supplies last. We do have limited supplies. We can't guarantee that everyone can get them. Please call your local library location to see what they have available. We are distributing these kits at all of our various branches. And then the other thing I want to encourage you to do is please check out our website, mesacountylibraries.org, for any other summer reading events or activities that we might have planned. Most of our events are virtual this summer, except with the exception of some of our take and make kits and that sort of thing. But summer reading is still happening. You can still gain points through reading and doing various activities, and then getting entered into prize drawings. So thank you so much for watching today, and have a great summer, everyone. Bye.